Hello friends, Sharon from Mad Paper Crush here. Today I thought it would be fun to take a cabinet card and make a little hidden pocket with it. So most of the time when you see cabinet cards, they're just, one piece of cardstock with a picture on it, maybe something on the back. But I thought it would be fun if we could design one that had a little hidden pocket in it, because who doesn't love a hidden pocket? So I'm starting with these images from the Graphics Fairy. These are in the premium membership, and I loved this picture of the woman with her parasol, and I wanted to have a back that basically matched the coloring of the front so that it would look like they were, one cohesive piece, even though these were, separate images on the site. So these are the ones I'm starting with, and I made sure that they were the same size because that'll help me. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to just very roughly cut them out, and we're going to glue them on these pieces of cardstock. So I'm going to tell you, these are just scrap pieces of cardstock from like packaging. So this was a template, like a plastic template that came in the package. So this is very light cardstock, as well as this one. This also came as some packaging and is also very light. So together they will be thicker, but I didn't want to go with something real heavy here on both of them because I thought it would just make it too thick. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these out and I'm going to glue them on, and then we'll cut them down better to make sure that they match the same size, the cardboard and the piece together. So I'm just going to use my 3-in-1 glue and get these glued down, and then we'll cut them out. All right, as I'm gluing this down, I just wanted to mention a couple things. I am being very generous with my glue, and I'm also trying to spread it out and be sure that I'm getting every single edge as best that I can. I'm kind of holding it up to the light to make sure that I've gotten glue all the way to the edge, because when I glue this down, I don't want any of the edges coming up. All right, my glue is all dry on my cardboard pieces, and I'm just using my paper cutter with an old blade in it to cut them out. And I'm trying to get them as close to the edge of the printout as possible, since I know those two things match, because we want the front and the back to be the same size. So I'm just doing my very best to cut everything out as close to the edge as possible here. My front and back are all cut out, and I just double checked them to make sure that when I cut them out, they're even. So it looks like they might be just a tiny bit off, but I think I'm okay with that. The next thing you want to do is be sure that the paper is stuck down really well around, all of the edges, so that, it doesn't come up anywhere. Since I'm not going to sew this, a lot of times I sew paper together to kind of keep the edges down, but I don't want to do that with this because I want it to look like sort of a traditional cabinet card. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to round the edges, and I'm going to use this corner rounder. You could just cut around them, but I'm going to try this corner rounder and see if that, just because I like that it gives me an even edge and will keep the back and the front the same as I go. So when I, go to glue them both together, they'll have the same corners, and I think that worked pretty good. And whatever the roundness was on these original prints match this small corner here on this corner rounder tool that I have here. So all right, so those are done, and so once again, now my edges they're looking pretty good together. And now I'm going to do some distressing. So I see that when I cut them, I have little white spots here and there in different places, and I want to make sure all of that stuff is covered up. So I'm just going to grab a little scrap piece of deli paper here, get my distress ink, and go to town. So this will be another time when I should be able to see if, all of my edges are really down. And if not, I'll be, gluing them together as well. So I'm just going to add a bunch of distress around the front edges like this, but I'm also going to make sure I put plenty of distress on the actual sides of the card as well. Okay, my distressing is done. And before I go any further on the backs of these, I'm just going to mark where the top is so that as I start doing some decorating and gluing things together, I don't, you know, glue them upside down. I don't want to do that. So I grabbed some old lace here, and I thought it would be fun to kind of have some lace sticking out here. So I know I was, you know, saying that I wanted it to look like a traditional cabinet card, but it really isn't. So I think adding a little bit of decoration might be fun. So this is kind of what I was thinking. I would have this sort of being, you know, hanging off the back here. I think it matches the lace on her parasol there. I think that's kind of nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark, you know, about how long I want it. And this is, it's kind of it's kind of curved, which is okay. I'm just going to grab my scissors. And I'm going to cut where, just about where I think it should go. And then I didn't want it to go quite to the end. But then the other thing that I wanted to do, it's really kind of wide, and I don't think I want it to be this wide. So I am going to cut it down so that only just, you know, maybe a ½ inch or so sticks out of my card there. So if I leave a ½ inch out, I'm going to need, you know, maybe a ½ inch or so to glue down on this side. So I'm just going to cut, I don't know, a little bit off of here. And I'm going to try to keep to the curve a little bit as I'm cutting. I mean, this part won't be seen, but I think that works just nicely. So then what I'm going to do here, ooh, glue's got stuff all over it. All right, I'm just going to glue this down here, right on the edge. And then once again, that little top there helps me remember, you know, which side I want this to be on. And so I'm just making sure the glue is coming through a couple little spots in there, and I think that works pretty good. And now the next step, easy peasy, is I'm just going to glue the top part on. So I love the way this is looking so far. Yeah, I think this is great. So now, because I want it to have a little hidden pocket, I'm just going to glue it like any other pocket I might glue together. And I'm just going to do the 3 sides here. And I'm trying to be fairly generous so that the sides don't come up. But I'm sure I'll have to. So now I've done the 3 sides. Looks like this is a little heavy here. I'm going to try to pull some of that off if I can. We'll see how it goes. So that I can have a fun tag hidden right in the middle there. Now let's make sure I've got it lined up very well here. Making sure there's no glue coming out anywhere. And then we'll just set this aside for a minute to let this dry. Okay, my glue is all dry. It looks like an original cabinet card, I think. I think we did a nice job with that. But now it has this fun little pocket right here. And I made this little tag. This is another picture from the Graphics Fairy there. And I put a couple of butterflies on here to sort of signify transformation. So I thought maybe, you know, as a little story, you know, maybe she wanted to be a gypsy and this would be her transformation story or something like that. So anyway, so I made this tag with some space on the back to journal, so you could have some hidden journaling, and you could tuck it right in to this little pocket that we have here in this little card. And I'm going to leave the tab out a little bit because I like the way it looks there with this marbled paper showing. But I think this is a great way to have a little hidden pocket that you could put some ephemera in. You could stick this in a journal. It would look like an original cabinet card, but you'd have this fun little piece to pull out and discover inside your journal. I hope you enjoyed this video, friends. I had so much fun doing it. If you're not subscribed to my channel, I'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button. You could also give it a thumbs up if you liked this video, and leave me a comment. Tell me what you thought. Tell me if this is something that you would like to try. Thanks so much for watching this video, friends. I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.